I've struggled with various digestive issues over the years, so gut health is extremely important to me. Now, while gut health awareness has increased, it has led to a wellness trend that inspired a host of kind of questionable marketing claims and even false claims. You've seen the word probiotic attached to all kinds of supplements, drinks, and more, and they may claim to deliver the healthy microorganisms our guts need for proper function, but all too often the promises are really too good to be true. Thankfully, I became aware of a company called Seed and their flagship product, the Daily Synbiotic. That's right. Seed's Daily Synbiotic offers 24 clinically researched strains of microorganisms in a single dose. These strains support gut, skin, and heart health and promotes regularity, sometimes within as little as 24 to 48 hours. To me, what really sets Seed's Daily Synbiotic apart is its delivery system. This is my supply. While some products may offer the right strains, they are fragile and they rarely survive the trip through your gut. Seed uses a capsule-in-capsule design that helps ensure that 100% of the probiotics reach your colon where they matter most. Now, I've been taking Seed's Daily Synbiotic, and I encourage you to check out their story and the science behind what they do. To try it for yourself, just go to seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code Dr. Drew for 20% off your first month of Daily Synbiotic. That is seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code DRW Dr. Drew.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
And look who's sharing the screen with me, none other than Mary Carey. Mary, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Drew. It's Mary Ellen to you.
Okay, that's actually so funny you would say that. That is precisely what I wanted to get into. Good for you. So last time, now it's gubernatorial candidate Mary Ellen Cook, right?
Yes. I'm actually registered as Mary E. Cook. But on the ballot, I will be Mary, and then in quotes, Mary Carey Cook, because obviously more people know that name, and I'm just trying to win.
Yeah, you're just trying to get in the governor's office. But here's what I want to talk about. Last time we had you were on with a bunch of other alumni from Celebrity Rehab, and it was very fun. Yeah. But you mentioned something about needing to be more Mary Carey at that moment.
I know.
And tell me more about that. And my question is, this is your life. You have to decide what the mix of Mary Carey and Mary Ellen Cook is in your life, right? You've created both. They're both you. Mm-hmm. Has that part had to go in the back now with the governor's race?
Well, okay. When I moved to Florida, which I sold my place in LA, because a lot of people are like, "How are you running for governor while you live in Florida?" I'm like, I still own my place in California, and I'm still, still have a California driver's license and everything, But happy to get 2 homes. But when I was staying in Florida primarily, and I married my husband, who is a doctor, he did not want me even doing the club appearances, which I know you never liked me doing, but like the performer in me from growing up doing ballet, I needed an outlet to dance. So, I had stopped doing movies and all that stuff, back when doing Celebrity Rehab, but I needed an outlet. And so I actually didn't believe him when he said that it was fine until I got married, because a couple weeks before getting married, he's like, you're not doing this anymore. And I thought, how great is this going to be? I'm married to a doctor, which is was a dream of mine because I'm a hypochondriac. And I just thought it'd be so great. But then I found myself really bored. And I also just thought, and then I'm going to get pregnant and I'm going to have a baby, and then I can take all of my energy and focus it on a baby. Yeah. But, I didn't get pregnant. We were trying, and I had an ectopic pregnancy, and it was just a lot of stuff. And I got really depressed because I missed I don't know, I guess I needed, it's that whole needing attention, the whole thing that got me into porn in the first place, needing attention.
I understand that. And do you think that some of this is a way of managing your mood? To some extent, is that for you?
That's the thing that I guess, yes. Because I tried to, where we live in Florida, Parkland, Florida, other than, yes, there was the school shooting here, but this is a very safe family neighborhood. And I tried so hard when I moved here to really, really fit in. I was good during, and that was hard. My husband he was working 12-hour shifts. So I'd fill my day out.
Just to be clear, he's an ER doctor. He's working in the
ER doctor, yes. Yeah. And, but even when he comes home, it was like, I would attack him at the door, like, attention. He's like, and it's like, no, I've got 4 hours charts to do. I've got to check on this patient and see how this person's doing. And I would be sitting there just hurry up, give me attention. I need attention. I was just, I felt very alone and depressed, and I needed attention. And then he was okay with me honestly, it's kind of sad what helped me in my mood was starting an OnlyFans page, which, I'm not like doing like porn on my OnlyFans page or anything, but I would like put on my dancing and I talk to people, and then it fixed it. I needed I guess I needed some sort of creative outlet.
Did that satisfy you?
Oh yes, it actually really did. But then, and then the governor's run, obviously, I don't actually fully believe in the recall, only because, it's going to cost so much money, like $100 million or more. And Gavin Newsom only has 1 year left. So even if people aren't happy, why waste that money that you could use for other things?
Yeah.
Just don't vote him the next year. But if it's going to happen, I might as well. Well, I felt like I had to, just like it was like a historic thing. I had to do it.
I don't know if people know you ran once before. That was 12 years ago, 8 years ago? How long was that?
Oh my gosh, it was 2003.
Wow. Almost.
But for me, it was just I just moved there to LA. I was only in LA 6 months, just starting to do my adult movies and Playboy TV. And then all of a sudden, the owner of the porn company I was with, he said, "Do you want to run for governor?" And I said, "Well, I was a theater major in college, so I don't know, can I?" And he was like, "Oh, as long as you have no felonies over 18, we'll get you the signatures and pay the fee." I was like,
it seems like you're taking it much more seriously this time.
Well, yes. I mean, luckily right now I've got a very smart person to help me. My husband helps me with ideas. Sometimes I'm like, he takes me to a new level of with words. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, Joe. You got to dumb it down and help me out a little bit here. But, I want to just be able to put ideas out there. And because, spending so much time in Florida, I like the way that everything was handled here. I think better than it was in California, but it's so hard to say because California obviously has a bigger population. So who knows, if you guys opened up everything the way we did here, maybe COVID would have been even more.
This was a disaster in California, and it continues to be to this day. In the LA County, they're refusing to let people give up their masks because they know better. They know better than the CDC. That's the kind of nonsense that's been going on from the beginning. It's not been good. It really has not been good.
And that's the thing I was trying to explain to. I try to explain it to some people who are like, "Oh my God, look at how California is." I'm like, but you guys have a huge population. California has a bigger population than Florida. You can't. And who knows? Florida could have, like my husband was saying, it's like very. If you talk to anyone who lost someone from COVID here in Florida, they're going to tell you we should never have opened things up. The way that we did here in Florida. But I don't know.
It's not at all clear that lockdowns were useful or in any way. What did your husband think about it? The lockdowns and all that.
I mean, at first, because he all he ever talks to me about is herd immunity.
Yeah.
Herd immunity, and the fact that when it first happened, because he never got it, he was like, "I won't get COVID. I was at USC during SARS and during this and during that." And
yeah,
he said,
I mean, he's right. I mean, I worked deep in the AIDS epidemic back in the. Yeah. You got to remember that was a disease with a 100% fatality rate. 100% at the time. So
does he have that fancy blood type and lots of?
He just thinks, my husband believes that he has the strongest immune system of all people in the world from being in the ER. He thinks ER doctors develop strong immune systems. So,
sure.
I mean, now we're both vaccinated, so
I mean, I was sick with it for 3 months, and Susan didn't get it. Speaking of strong immune systems.
Yeah.
My mom's roommate in her nursing home, the whole way they handled it, I was very impressed. But my mom's roommate in her nursing home had gotten the call that she had gotten it. But my mom never got it, because
how is your mom doing?
Oh, she's doing so great. We get to take her out again now, and I just saw her today. She wanted Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is her favorite.
Who knew that would be such an exciting thing to do?
Get Kentucky Fried Chicken, I know.
Right? Like it's heaven.
Well, they're in Florida. They've had access to things for a long time.
That's true.
You know what? She wasn't allowed out. Well, yes, we've been allowed to go places, but she wasn't allowed out. Like other than at Christmas and Thanksgiving, she was allowed to come over our house. But it wasn't until February, a month after her second dose of her vaccine, that I was allowed to she was actually allowed to go places. And it's funny. I remember when I was like 26. And I was staying at this fancy hotel, the Boca Raton Resort. I took her out to this like $200 person dinner. I was so excited that she's gonna love it. The next day, I took her to Red Lobster, and she goes, "Red Lobster's just so much better." So from that point on, I have now realized with my mom, she prefers. I now like KFC, McDonald's.
That's her thing.
I always want to take her to nicer. Sometimes I get very proud of my husband. Like he was a chef before he was a doctor. So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
What's so crazy about him is that he had dropped out of college at 18 and worked in restaurants and worked his way up to chef. And he was a chef in a restaurant in Encino. He's a head chef called Stratton's. It was in the, I guess, the 90s. And then he started dating a doctor. She was from UCLA. And she was 7 years older than him, and he was like smarter than her. And he went to Cal State Northridge at 27, and then med school at 31.
Good for him. No, I will back you up on his smarts. I know smart people, and he's one of those guys, for sure.
I love that, but that's like such a turn on, you know what I mean? Okay, I don't want to talk to you. I feel weird. I can't talk to you about turn on. So because you're like,
well, Drew gets turned on too. So.
With you. Only with Susan.
He's blushing.
So was Tommy on the season with you?
No, but I met her because on season 2 I came back to talk to them. You had me just come to talk about this. For me, you know, I can't remember what interview I was just talking to about this. I was just mentioning, I did a podcast, this girl who's like some Instagram famous girl, but we were talking about Celebrity Rehab, and I said, you know, if it wasn't for Celebrity Rehab, I believe, you know, if it wasn't for Dr. Drew, I would die in 6 months to a year. And she's like, forget that, Dr. Drew is just so sexy. I was like, you know what? I think I thought that too when I checked in, but we're not going to talk about that now. But that was all she really wanted to talk about. But I said, no, Dr. Drew saved my life because even though I didn't get it about the alcohol at the time, I understood the Xanax thing was huge.
Well, you got the basics. Listen, here's one of the things you should know about treatment. There's been some recent data, and Bob and I sort of knew this intuitively, that just for alcohol, on average, 4 treatments, 5 years to get 1 year of sobriety. On average. So very few people get sustained sobriety after 1 treatment, you know. So it's sort of, and if you remember what I kept saying, I kept going, this is the beginning, you're just getting rolling, we're just getting you started, you know, this is the beginning of this thing. And you've improved markedly over the years.
Well, you always said, and I repeat it all the time, is that the seed, you know, I always say that Dr. Drew planted the seed for me. Yeah. And then like when I went to First Promises and Malibu Promises, I started to grow just like a little bit of grass. Yeah. Well, when I went to the professionals program, which took me 3 treatments to get that year. Once I went to the professionals program, which was my 3rd treatment, then my like tree finally grew, you know, but the seeds were planted with you. And I always will. I mean, but it doesn't change the fact that the way the Xanax was going with the alcohol,
I know, but it's just,
it saved my life.
It's just the way it works. And so I know you don't like being average, but you did the 4 treatments over 5 years essentially, and that's average what it takes.
I know. I'm starting to really realize my blood work, everything. I'm starting to realize I'm just like very average. Like, I don't like that. But that's a typical alcoholic thing. Is alcohol, and it's so strange to me. All the different stuff of alcoholism and AA that you hear. You know, I'm always like, I am special, but that's what alcoholics think. But when I would hear in AA early on when they say, "Oh no, we everyone thinks they're special," and I would think, no, they're wrong because I really am special.
You don't understand.
But then it's just as things progressed, and then I remember one sponsor would tell me, I was like, well, I don't drink all day. I don't drink alone. I don't do this. And she's like, you don't do it yet. And I was like, no, I will never do that, you know? Because that's why I think I had trouble. When I went to Celebrity Rehab, I knew the Xanax was bad. The drinking, I had trouble accepting the alcoholic part of it because I didn't drink alone. I didn't isolate. I didn't do those things, but I eventually did.
Yeah.
And just like AA said I would, you know, and I don't know. That's what I think. What really scares me the most about AA is how accurate it is. How all those cliches. You think, you know, when you're not into the program, the cliches just sound tacky and stupid. Like these don't work, and then they're real, and then you find yourself. You know, you find yourself like, okay, I just got to get through, like when they say, just get through like the minute, the hour, the day, and just everything it's true. So then the scariest part is knowing that in AA, they say the final destination for an untreated alcoholic or addict is jails, institutions, and death.
Have you found that to be true?
You know, I mean, unfortunately, I guess. Like, you know, because I always think of, you know, it was funny. When I went to Promises Malibu, the day I got out is when China.
Oh, yeah.
And she was an example of someone who never thought she had a problem. And I remember how much you would sit there with her and you would try to get her to get it. And I mean, well, because I mean, even when it came to Celebrity Rehab, the way the show happened is you guys, well, not you, but John Erwin, they had approached her manager Anthony about doing the show, and
Who?
she didn't want to do it.
Oh, right.
And she was friends with me. And I remember at the time, my mom had just jumped off the building. I was bad on Xanax, and I knew I needed to go to rehab, but I couldn't figure out how to afford to go to rehab and take off time from dancing. So China's manager called me up, never met me. It was just like he was trying to, he was like, I don't know what to do. I have to tell you, there's this thing. China thinks you have a problem, and they're going to do this show with Dr. Drew called Celebrity Rehab, and you're going to get paid to go to rehab, but if you don't have a problem, it's okay. You can still go. And I remember I started crying. I was like, this is like God's, I have been saying I need to go to rehab. I go, and I can't believe I'm going to get to go with Dr. Drew and actually get paid. It fit like everything I needed at that moment in time.
That's so good.
Yeah,
it was such a God shot, and so I believe in so many of these like things where God makes things happen. And so, but China, then she only did the show at the time because she was pitching her own reality show that fell through.
Oh, really? Well, I remember
she never was in it.
No, I know. I know she was really just. Oof. I've spoken to her mother since, and her mother had lots of interesting things to say about, because they're doing a documentary about her now, and the mom got interviewed, and we talked, and I don't know, there was something, she spent before she died, she had spent 3 months in a locked unit in Japan.
Japan, yes. Because when she went to Japan, she emailed me from there.
But 3 months in a locked facility. I mean, that's how serious her stuff was. And they don't do that here. They just send people out on the streets. But man, and she.
At least she didn't get a lobotomy while she was there.
I know.
Maybe they should have given her one.
That's what they used to do.
Oh, I know these.
We talked about that yesterday.
That impressed you, huh, Susan?
Oh yeah, or the electric shock therapy for depression.
My mom had electric shock therapy done twice to her when she was 16.
Wow.
Because she was born 1953, and in the 60s when they diagnosed her with schizophrenia, they had put her into, when she was 16, she was in a mental institution, and she had electric shock therapy twice.
They used to use ECT, electric shock therapy, electroconvulsive therapy, for schizophrenia.
So I want to know what Mary Carey's passionate about for California.
All right.
Oh gosh, you know what? A big thing is, I actually been saying it in a couple of the news interviews. It's because I learned it from Dr. Drew, which was that the homeless population. I can't remember if I heard you say it on a podcast or something I heard you say, but I copied you. Is that we need to get them mental health and I think alcohol and drug treatment, because the big thing with the mental health, the homeless people is we need to help them. And I think my husband had told me in the 80s when Reagan, I guess, came into office, he had gotten rid of the free mental health. It was more available. And so I believe
your husband almost has it right.
Okay.
In 1963, President Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Act that took away all the state hospitals and moved everything into community mental health centers. The community mental health centers were terrible failures, and Reagan closed those.
So I'm gonna let him know that he was semi-right on.
He's semi-right because Reagan did close down some
Joe,
services.
you weren't all the way right. Or he's sadly right, 94.
I bet.
To 90.
I bet. He's a smart guy. I get that.
I hate it though because I want to be right, but it's. Sometimes I will challenge him, and he's like, no. But but I think the biggest thing is getting them, because I think about if my mom wouldn't have had my grandparents, and then when they passed, I was able to help take care of her.
Yep.
She could have been a homeless person.
Right.
She would have been homeless.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly right, because there would have been no conservatorship. There would have been no services for her.
Exactly.
I mean, think about where she would have ended up. Can you imagine?
I don't. That's just horrible.
That's how it works.
And then also the other thing is a lot of the homeless people are alcoholics and drug addicts, because I know that, I can only imagine if my drinking, I was lucky in the height of my drinking and pills that I was a cute girl in my 20s. People watched out for me. I was also in a business, strip club feature dancing. I was actually, that's how you know you have a problem though. In strip clubs were I can't touch Mary Carey. She's too drunk. I can't book her.
Right.
But, it was still a job. Yeah. Susan, that's when you have a problem. When strip clubs say you are too out of it. Okay.
Oh
but I still was a way to make money while being drunk. So I wasn't homeless. But I mean, a lot of the homeless people, they're just people who, with their addiction. Now, the only problem is I don't know how, obviously, as we know, it's even if you get someone sober for 60 days, 90 days, and they start to work, will they maybe slip back? And then, who knows? But
well, now you know. Now you understand the illness now, right? It took a while.
Oh gosh, Dr. Drew, I really understand it now, and I didn't get it I think it's harder for younger people. I know that younger people sometimes do get sober and stay sober, but it is like sometimes when I hear of people who got sober, there's an actor. I've been watching The West Wing as inspiration for my campaign on Netflix. But Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
And he's sober from so young that I'm like, does it really count? I mean, like, he was sober like we barely drank. I don't know. Like I like to hear of people who got sober when they were like 30 or older. It's like I find it a little bit more inspirational because I think if you can get sober in your 20s and it sticks, that's so impressive. But I think it's really hard to stick that young because you haven't gotten this is the other thing. So they always talk about, I remember one of my sponsors in 2014, she would say to me, I just don't think you hit enough of a rock bottom. She would say that to me. And I was like, why are you wishing bad upon me? And she's like, you just aren't there yet. And I didn't understand what she meant. But it wasn't until like the last PTP promises that I went to when I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is bad if I don't stop, drinking. I felt like I was at that low. And then all I did, I remember before I chose to go to PTP, I was like, okay, I could get liposuction for all the weight I gained from drinking or go to rehab. I'm like, I don't know which one. And I was like, wait a minute, what's the point of the lipo? I'm just going to get it all back of drinking.
There you
so
go.
But the rehab, but it was like, I finally, like every other time it was like, okay, I think I want this. Okay, I guess I need this. I'm not that bad.
Right.
And then it was just like, oh my gosh, I want it. And it's so true. Like, they always say in rehabs that you can't get sober for a husband, a parent, a family member.
Right.
And I didn't understand that.
Right.
But I get that too. And then I always think back to, I always use something else you said when I talk to new people, newcomers. I always say, well, Dr. Drew told us the funniest thing. I can't remember. You used this analogy with us and you said, alcoholism is the only disease. He's like, if I tell someone you have cancer and you're going to die, but if you don't do this cancer, you're going to die. They're going to do it right away.
Yep.
But if I tell someone with alcoholism, I'm not saying it exactly what you said, but I try to tell people that, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And
it's the only disease you have to convince people. Only disease you have to convince people they have. Only one. And I also always say, I say this to the opiate addicts more. Like if I told you what your case fatality rate was, and the disease was cancer, you'd have me airlift you to a cancer center.
Yes.
But because it's opiate addiction, you're like, man, I got it, no problem.
It's so true.
Isn't it crazy?
And it's funny. I love that analogy because it's funny. One of my best friend when I went to the last rehab, it was also the last rehab. First rehab, celebrity rehab, I actually was friends with all the girls. But remember, we had Daniel Baldwin there, and I had my issues with him. And oh my God, that was so scary when you had him. I was so scared of how it was going to be when he was on that last Zoom thing, but it worked out okay. He was nice.
He is. He's sober now too. He's doing amazing. Have you had any contact with him?
No, I'm petrified of him. Remember, he left me that threatening
You shouldn't be.
voicemail
You should not be. Different person. Different person.
Honestly, he was nice. He was so nice that day on the Zoom thing, but I was so nervous because he logged in last. And
Right.
I'm like, they must have forgotten that he left me that threatening message.
But that was him. That was him and his illness. You know what I mean? Different guy.
And I get that now too, and I get that about illnesses. But okay. I went off my subject. My best friend in Promises the last time was an anesthesiologist. And
wow.
Her and Anna, you met her. She came to your house twice.
Oh, yeah.
Actually.
Yes, I remember Anna. Yeah. Nice.
That was mine. And it was fun for me because that was my first time since I lived in LA actually having a friend that was like not entertainment industry or anything, And one of the things her and I were always so puzzled by, we would talk about it all the time because, and this is the other thing that's the greatest obsession of every alcoholic is that one day you can drink normally. Right. And it is so crazy how that will obsess in your mind. And her and I would just sit there and talk all the time, like, why can people do this? How can they drink normally? And then we would talk about how, why when you relapse, maybe you can explain this because it still doesn't make sense to me.
Why do you pick up where you left off?
Well, yeah, because you would think if you were sober for a year
Yeah.
and then you have a couple drinks, so your body's like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm normal again.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like the relapse, like I found for myself, the relapse was so.
It can go a couple ways. What you're talking about, the usual thing is you pick up right where you left off, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
my thinking is that there's kind of a set point in the reward system, because we know there's your brain has a wanting system and a liking system, right? You want and you like alcohol, both. But even when you don't like it anymore, that wanting system keeps going. And so the wanting system has kind of a thermostat on it, and that's the nucleus accumbens. And when that, when you've sort of, if you're genetically prone, if you have this sort of genetic potential, you can dial up that reward system where it needs a certain level of reward. Once you start giving it, it's going to go, oh, no, we got to go back here. We got to get back here. Now, some people, it takes a couple months to get there, but everybody gets there. Everybody goes right back where they were.
It's so true, because we noticed that amongst everyone that would relapse, and and her as a doctor, she would always try to like figure that out. Why? Because it just, it just really.
We don't have the biology that well set, but it fits with the biology as we understand it so far. So it's not a full mechanism yet, but it certainly is the case, right? I mean, you've seen it a million times.
Yeah. And the other thing I always think of, again, I don't think you ever put it in these terms, but because you use that cancer reference, I always like the way I always would talk to people. The way it makes sense to me is that, like some people, when they get cancer, it progresses, or like stage 4, it really quickly. So like I consider myself, I actually was a slower progressor with my disease.
That's right.
But because sometimes you might not recognize your alcoholism at first, because you were like, I feel like I was at a stage 2 for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I'm not fully, I'm not there. And then it got to a 4. But some people shoot up right away to like stage 4 cancer.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Think of alcoholism, and it's something that I think that needs to be brought up more, is that people don't realize that the disease, it's harder to recognize sometimes in people,
Completely agree.
Completely agree. It's just so, I don't know, Dr. It's just
it's so very interesting. It's great. It's great to hear you talk about all this stuff. Two other things I just wanted.
Everything you said was right.
Yeah, we kind of knew what we were talking about. we
sort
of know this.
I haven't cried yet. I always cry when I see Dr. Drew. It's about time, because I always think about like how lucky we were, and we got, I feel so lucky that we were on season 1, because, when I went to normal rehab, that's the other thing. When I went to, celebrity rehab, I didn't know if this was like how a normal rehab operates, but I realized this was like celebrity rehab was like a normal rehab, on crack, like using a drug reference. It was like, when we got these like 2 to 3 hour long process groups with you.
Yeah.
We got one-on-ones with you, and then all those special therapies we got. But I mean, but when you guys were doing process groups, I didn't know that was like rehab's process groups, but they're, not with just 7 or 8 people with, you and Bob. It's like 20 people with a person who does not have your experience.
No, right. That's right. We felt very good, particularly about that was sort of one of the key. I'm glad you picked up on that, because that was one of the things we were sort of felt really good. We gave a 2-hour process group, or 3 hours if need be. And
I still can't even believe we got that.
Yeah, and what I liked, and see, what I didn't know for sure is that I didn't know for sure everyone participated, but you guys jumped right in, and that was good.
I think that what I liked about our group is because the show, because obviously then the show became like a highest rated top show, and you guys have people like all like wanting to come on. For my season, I think everyone that was there genuinely, with the exception of China, knew they had a problem.
Yeah.
And so they really, I felt like everyone kind of really,
Yep.
into it, and
And I don't remember. Do you remember? This is for me now. That I would come in every day. Do you remember this? I'd go, "Are you guys okay? Are the camera's bothering you? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Okay. I was like really nervous. What's that?
I just said that on the podcast I was on Tuesday. I said, Dr. Drew always used to ask us, he'd be like, "Are you guys okay? I know this is different. There's cameras. You have to open up." And I remember I was like, well, for me, I did porn, so everything's a step up. But for everyone else, Do you
remember what you said to me?
No, was it when I was sober, or when I checked in drunk?
It was when you were, because it was about a week in. Maybe even 2 weeks in, because I was bugging you guys a lot about this, because I was really nervous the cameras were going to hurt you, and you finally, I don't remember if it was group or one-on-one, you lean in and you go, Dr. Drew, I have done just about everything in front of a camera. This is not a big deal. This is, I thought, well, there you go.
That's what I was like.
And then I stopped after that. I was like, well, I thought, oh my God, that's right. Everybody here knows what we're doing. They know what treatment is, and they know what being in front of a camera is, both. And so, okay, all right, let's see what happens.
I think it's so interesting too about like most people that, obviously people who are driven to, because, I definitely think that I have an addiction for, I have an addictive personality to everything. And everything I do. I realized my ballet, when I did ballet when I was younger, it was an addiction. I didn't do it like a normal child. I did it like, obsessively. But, I think everyone who goes into like, this is celebrity or being, driven to the adult industry a lot of times, we have like an attention. We need attention. We need, it's what we're driven for. So I think that's what made celebrity work for so many of the people, is because everyone there has an attention needing thing, with the exception of Rodney King. He was always the one that I remember talking with him when we would be off camera and the van rides from Sober House to Center. Yeah. Because I used to love sitting and talking with him. I found him so fascinating. And he was, what I thought was so interesting about him was that he was the only one of us that didn't like do anything. They didn't intentionally try to become famous.
No, right. He wasn't. He didn't want it.
He was, but everyone else there, I think everyone else there. But I mean, again, I like China though. That was what's so strange. She didn't want to talk about her problems, and I'm sure that people in your later seasons, I'm sure there's some people who didn't. I guess some people don't want to admit they have a problem, and that's what it really takes. It's just, I don't know. It's just so much stuff.
And yet, surprisingly, pretty much everybody responded to treatment to some degree or another, which was extraordinary to me. I really was grateful for that.
I wish I could have done it longer. Like, I always tell you, I would have lived there forever. Like, but I had to be with you, with everyone.
Tell people what you mean by that.
I mean, well, the environment with Dr. Because I love having you there, but I just loved everything about the rehab environment because it's very safe feeling. And a lot of my problems, that I've discovered through like through step work and stuff is I'm like, everything for me is like anxiety driven. I'm very high strung and anxious. And so that's why I like drinking and benzos, because it calms the anxiety, But when you're in rehab, you feel, at least in our situation, you feel very safe. I felt safe. I loved getting to see you because I felt like I had the smartest person helping me. Bob was, I did not like Bob as much at the time. Now I like Bob, but at the time, because I always thought he was kind of tough on me. But I get it now. I get why. I get it now. At the time I didn't. Shelly, I always liked Shelly, even though other people thought she was tough. She was doing what she had to do.
Doing her job. Yeah. Yeah.
I just loved it. I felt so safe, and
you also had said that you really didn't have an intact family for a lot of your life, and so having like this, like Bob and Shelly and I were like your family there, containing you.
You were. I remember though, because we did get cut short the first season a couple of days from what we originally thought we were going to be leaving on a Monday, and I remember on a Thursday night, the producers had come into all of us. They're like, "Hey, guess what, you guys? We're out of budget. You got to leave tomorrow." And I knew everyone, because I don't think, as much as maybe even someone like Jeff Conway says they wanted to leave, no one wanted to leave. We were all like, like we were very comfortable. It was a very comfortable environment. Like it was a family. It was, I don't know. And I liked the food.
And everybody did get very connected. I mean, that group, all the groups, they got very, very connected in those process groups, which was sort of amazing.
And same thing with Sober House. Sober House, I didn't feel quite the same. I mean, Nikki and I got very connected.
Nikki McKibben.
Yes, Nikki McKibben and I were, because her and Amber Smith and I were all, we were in the same room. Yeah. Amber was just hard because, like, if I knew we had to be downstairs at 9:00 for, I don't know what you would call that meeting that we did with Jen.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Where we read, but like, I would wait, until 8:59 a.m. and like put on a hat and go downstairs. But Amber was always up like an hour and a half early doing her hair and makeup, and that bothered me because I was like, Amber, why do you? But I get it now. It was kind of part of her,
Well, I need to make touch base with Amber because she was Tawny's roommate.
Yes, they were very close. They were very
close, and I need to find out how she's doing because this was a big shock, Tawny. I know. It was really sad.
On the Zoom thing, that was the first. Well, I met her, and I remember she was so nice when I met her when I came to visit season 2.
But Susan, you have the text that she sent us after the Peter Luger thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read those to Mary?
Okay.
Mary E. now.
She's such a giving I mean, she was super nice to us.
So
She
nice.
thought of us. Hold on.
We're trying to get in touch with her kids. Remember Winter? Did you ever meet her kids?
She said, she always, I love you. So happy you guys are all right. I just heard about Peter Luger's. My goodness. Beyond happy you didn't sit outside. Send love to
Oh
Dr.
gosh,
Drew.
I was so sad when
Love
I
you
was.
both. Tony, hearts, prayer, and Tony. And then I wrote back, thank God, XOXO, but I think we were it was on Sunday, May 2nd at 7 a.m. That was a week before she died. Like, she died the next Friday.
You know, we did.
She seemed so normal. So happy. Remember, she was talking about when we did the Zoom thing in March. She was like, I've been going to AA meetings on Zoom just to talk to people. I remember she was like, we had trouble getting her not to, like, she was so busy talking on her phone because she was so happy.
She was doing Instagram Live at the same time that she was talking
in her
about
leopard suit.
She laying on her bed, but she was so happy and in such good spirits.
I know.
Like,
she was a fun person. She had a lot of energy, but somebody said her father died the week before, and she was really having a rough time.
Her
and
brother said that.
She wasn't feeling well, and and then maybe, I don't know, we're not getting any younger here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but she was only 59. But I know it's true. People.
No, but that's older than 20 years ago or 30 years ago. That would be a good life.
I know, it's so true. It's true. That's very true.
And, if you don't have perfect health, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what all her health problems were, but she had a lot of energy.
Yes, she did.
She lived about 12 lives with all her energy. You know what I mean?
She had so much energy. I thought that I actually was very intimidated by her personality when we were doing, because I didn't know any of the people that were doing that last thing, except for when Daniel logged on, which just made me more nervous.
Yeah.
But
well, you were on with Janice Dickinson, your new idol.
I know, Janice Dickinson, please. I'm like, I like, because there's this girl who I follow on Instagram, whose podcast I'm going on in LA. I'm so excited. Skinny Confidential is her name.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I've been on it before,
You know what? I listened to your episodes. I'm going on her podcast. They've had you and Bob on. That's right.
Yes. Tell them we should come back. We should come back.
You know what? I'm going to, because I was mad because you did not mention me as one of your memorable people.
Oh.
I was on Celebrity Rehab.
I got to tell you though, Drew was a little pissed off when he heard that she
I wasn't one of your members. So what? You're only allowed to go back.
Yeah, you know what? When somebody says what the people that are on my mind are ones that were tough, right? And who died at the hands of my peers.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the stuff that I.
This is an episode of what Dr. Drew said.
Uh-oh. What did I strike back on?
When you heard Tony passed away, you said, I'm blaming this on my colleagues. Because,
Oh, yeah, I was pissed.
And he does get pissed when that happened. But we don't know if that's the truth.
No, we don't know. But I just, whenever
It's
somebody
too soon.
goes, it's always a doctor giving them a batch of pills. And it just, makes me crazy. So.
When I get upset when someone dies is when they blame you, Doctor.
Mary, wait. I had a conversation with Stephen Adler today because I've been talking to him the last couple days. He texts me a lot, and he said he was going to come on the show tomorrow, but then he called me. He said he had a uremia, and he's on medications. It happened like right after he texted me, and I was like,
what?
And I was like, a uremia, and I go. What are you taking? What medications? I go, come on, dude. I go, you shouldn't be taking any medication. I go, just tell Caroline to hold your pills and change to Tylenol. He goes, no, she's got the pills. I'm just taking Tylenol. He goes, it's this thing where your stomach tears. I go, you mean a hernia?
Oh my God.
A uremia.
Uremia.
What's a uremia like? And then he goes, oh, that's how you spell it. He goes, okay. I said, well, maybe you can come on Clubhouse and tell us about your hernia. Because he doesn't.
Your uremia. That's the best.
It's going to take 6 months for him to play drums again. So he's just really suffering through that. And I said, well,
there's something wrong with this story.
I know, because I guess he has to have the surgery and he wants to go on tour in July. See, I know the whole scoop here, but I wanted to get him on tomorrow.
What kind of hernia?
I don't know. It must be bad, though. He's got a few of them.
I'm worried about this.
I know. I told him to talk to you. I said, we'll get you on Clubhouse. He doesn't have to do
Okay,
video.
speaking of Clubhouse, we have a room on Clubhouse. People are listening to Mary and I right now. Mary is running for governor also.
I am. And if I win, Dr. Drew is Surgeon General.
All right, I'll be there. I'll be there.
California.
And
Susan will be in charge of everything else. You know the thing that I already promised my husband he could be Attorney General. My husband's going to be
damage control.
good judgment there, Mary Ellen.
My husband's going to be chief. Wait, what is it? I don't know. But he's going to be. I don't know. He's going to be the next.
Names of all the people.
I should learn the terms. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to sit down and write a list of everything that you need to know to run for
All right,
governor.
so if people
I just know
have
help the homeless, fix the budget, give money.
How about
Right.
yeah? How about what are we going to do with the immigrants, Mary?
You know, okay, that's another tough one because, sometimes I get upset about, well, my adoptive grandparents, but they were my family, they, I always heard the story about my great grandmother coming on a boat from Sweden when she was 12, going through New York, having to get, proper paperwork.
Yep.
My grandfather's family was Ukrainian. And I think that everyone should have to they should have to do it legally because.
So when did your grandfather come here? The Ukrainian?
Let's see, he was born 1919. He was first generation here, like 1905.
So that's when
Same with
my family came over too, from Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, do you like? I always say about
Are you guys related?
pierogies.
I know. And where did they settle?
Ohio. Where my grandfather went to
That's
all
where my family
Ukrainian.
went.
Yeah.
Ukrainian school until he was in 6th grade. He was in all Ukrainian school. They used to speak Ukrainian around me, and he always used to sing this song in Ukrainian that I can't pronounce the words right. But
oh my God, what if you guys are cousins?
you know what? I did my ancestry DNA. Well, here's the thing. I'm not genetically related to him.
This is your adopted grandparents. Okay, got it.
That's right.
I did what's funny? I did ancestry DNA, and I did it for my mom, hoping I could find that she'd have a half sibling. But neither my mom or I are getting anything closer than second cousins. So
Interesting.
You know what? I kind of agree with you, Mary, because we were in New York. We were having dinner somewhere and looking down at Ellis Island, and I said, it's really weird because my grandparents came here. My great grandfather brought my grandmother when she was 12 with her sister, no mother, on this boat from the ship, sort of a ship, a boat, more like a big boat, from Germany to the United States, landed on this little island, and then ended up in Ohio.
That's so funny. You were from Ohio too.
He was a roofer, and I said, I might be privileged, but I'm not a pussy. My family were bootleg and gun toters. My mother's side of the family came from New York and ended up in California on covered wagons. So, the genetics that I have, for some reason, are really good, but they're also survivor genes.
Right.
And there's not, maybe there's some alcoholism. Yes, I will say that, but I want people to understand that they have to work hard for things in life, it's sad that these drug cartels and people are throwing their babies over the wall, and we don't want that to happen. But you can't just sort of Trump built this wall for a reason, and the minute he left, they just kind of let everything go crazy. So I have a real issue with the way that humans are being treated, and that needs to be stopped, and we do need to give them help. But I honestly am with you. I think that it should be done legally, and you should be able to
100%.
do it. But look how hard it is on 90 Day Fiance to marry somebody and stay in the country. There are laws, and they're very difficult. Look at who's the Ukrainian girl on the farm? I forget.
Julia,
look at her.
I haven't seen this show. Maybe I should watch this. Everyone talks about it.
She needs her green card. She can't get her green card, so she can't work.
Mary, you will actually be mad at us for hooking you on it. Because
I hear about it. Is it really that good? So you guys
it's very addictive. It's very addictive.
I'm gonna watch it then. Because my husband, that's our thing. At night, we always try to find shows together, and that's our we watch.
Well, this will be your thing, and then you can text Susan, and we can all talk about it. So.
When I'm in office, you guys will all have 90 Day Fiance viewing parties.
Our parents were all immigrants. They worked hard.
Yes.
They send their kids to medical school.
Yeah.
Drew is a product of immigrants. His father was both his father and his uncle were doctors. They were poor. They lived in You know, my grandmother ended up getting chased out of Michigan to go back to
Oh my
Prague
gosh.
from Capone, and then came back again. So on the ship, you know, to imagine how that disgusting that is, you know, in those days. It
So
was
let,
not
let
pretty.
me,
Wait,
let me,
wait, no, no, not only that, they all learned English. That's the other thing that really
And they
bothers
weren't
me.
worried about COVID.
Everyone learned English back then. They came to the United States and then they were like proud to be here. And then they learned, I mean, my grandparents still spoke Ukrainian, but like everyone, like, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes people come here, they don't want to do legally, they don't want to learn English, they don't want to pay taxes. You know what I mean? That's not really fair.
No, I know.
It's not fair to the way people did it 50, 100 years ago. You know what I mean?
And I'm not
America was founded on
I don't
immigrants
wanna
coming here legally.
I want to
you
diss
know?
anybody from Mexico because I have about 9 Mexicans in my kitchen right now, and they're amazing, hardworking individuals.
No, they
drive
are.
an
They
hour
are.
to work and back. They don't
Yeah.
speak great English, but they do their job, and they're amazing, and their families are lovely.
Well,
and I've
they're
met
great. And
them-
that's the thing. I know it's such a tough thing, obviously, saying where.
but you're running for governor. You got to refine your messaging here, Mary Carey.
I'm gonna have to work on this.
How do you make it sort of an equal playing field for all humanity?
So, so for the last 15 minutes, I've been trying to get both of you to stop, so I can take some calls from Clubhouse. Would that be okay? Okay, we'll see. If people have questions,
I love drinking these
La
LaCroix.
Croix, nice. If
La
peop-
Croix, now I should say it.
there you go, LaCroix people say, but if
Is it La Croix?
La Croix, yeah, that's how you actually pronounce it. It's French for the cross.
I should know this because I did ballet and everything was in French. Oh my God, Dr. Drew, now I feel
Plié, relevé, plié, relevé.
Tendu, glissé, grand jeté, pas de chambre.
Oh my God.
Allegro,
All
petit allegro, grand allegro. Okay.
So here we go. We're going to take calls and the questions from me or Mary Ellen. So this is, we'll get Quinn up to the microphone here. Thank you guys for your patience. We'll just get to it in a second. I think it was Quinn. Hi, Quinn. What's going on?
Hey, Dr. Drew. Hi, Susan.
Hey, man.
So you guys were just talking about your dinner in New York, but you never give a follow-up about what happened in the restaurant. What happened?
What the shooting was?
Yeah, like what was that about?
It was a group of friends and family that were at a big table in the other dining room. They got in a fight, and they were all like in their 20s. They got in a fight over a girl. They took it outside, and one of the guys just opened fire and hit customers rather than his target.
Yeah, I saw you like recording. And I was like, Dr. Drew, you're the doctor. Shouldn't you get out there? But okay. Yeah,
no, that was after it was all over. The first thing was I went over there because I thought there was some sort of medical problem, and then they pushed me out and threw us on the floor, and it made everyone go down flat on our bellies. And
I was in the fetal position.
And the cops showed up. Cops showed up like in 2 minutes.
Yeah, they were there.
But when the cops showed up, we didn't know was there going to be a shootout, and because we didn't know, was this a drive-by, was this a mass shooting? We had no idea what was happening. All we knew is there was a shooter. That's all we kept hearing: shooter, shooter, shooter. And
they didn't ask for a doctor either because the paramedics were there.
Paramedics were there with the. It was unbelievable how fast the
Thank
services
God.
got there.
But you know that would be considered a mass shooting though, even though it was two people.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. But I was heading over there because I thought there was a medical problem, and they were like, on the ground, get out of here, and that was what really happened.
But Drew did run towards the door. That is his first instinct. Which
well, I didn't know if I'd known there was a shooting. I'm not.
I was the first one under the table. Everybody followed me.
I would be like Susan. I would be the first one hiding.
That survivor gene. I'm telling you.
Me too. I would do the same thing.
I was like, I'm out of here, and then after we were all on their table, everybody was very quiet. And we were all hurdled on top of each other. I popped up and said, "Where's Drew?" And I looked over, and he was turning a table over, and smashed glasses all over the
because we were in a window.
And I was like, because they said, "Oh, you can get up." I thought he had bumped the table, but he was trying to block the window.
We were in a window, and I thought, I've got to put something in this window because if something gets going, we need some sort of barrier here. And
I would have followed his lead after he told everybody what to do. I mean, I think Drew would have been a good leader if it had gotten worse.
Oh yeah,
and
I was preparing for it to get worse, and it didn't. So we ate steak. Nefra, thanks for coming up to the microphone.
Hey, Dr. Drew.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
I am, a little trepidatious about going back out into society after the CDC news that, okay, so listen, I've got both of my vaccines
Okay.
and I'm 2 weeks out.
You're how old?
I am 34
Okay.
and I'm a single woman and I've been a good girl in the last year. And I'm wondering, like, is it okay for me to start going out and like starting to date again?
I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying since the beginning. The CDC will make solid recommendations based on good science. They'll be conservative recommendations. So the fact that they're opening up now is still conservative. It means they could have opened up earlier, but they're convinced themselves now that it's adequate time to do this. And absolutely, the risk to you is nominal in terms of fatality rates. Even if you were to get, I'm now vaccinated, it's zero. I mean, you're not going to be hospitalized or die of COVID. That's not going to happen. That's essentially a zero probability in your age group with the dual vaccine, with the mRNA vaccine.
Be more worried about STDs now. There's going to
Listen, that part I have it taken care of,
Good.
but you know.
But could you? So you keep an eye out at the variants. They're following the genotypes of the viruses now, and make sure. We now know that all the variants are pretty well covered by the vaccine, even the India variants. So that's why they went ahead. There was a lot of concern about could the variants to get a foothold here, and there's still a possibility some new variant could emerge and really cause a problem. But the more vaccinated we are, the more we suppress the replication of the virus, the less likely that is to happen. So I think you can feel very safe going out into the world and get your life back. What do you think, Mary Ellen?
I agree completely, and I love hearing you say all this because now I feel even better, Dr. Drew.
Sure.
But I wasn't that worried because I had Pfizer vaccine, and I had because my husband's big thing was even before they said I think they recalled the Johnson & Johnson one. He was just like wanting to make sure I got Pfizer.
Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson, not for you. Not for you.
Yeah.
Not for.
So I got my Pfizer. I'm a couple weeks out from my second shot, so
yeah.
I feel great. I think everyone should go out and have fun if they're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, well, the only thing is my husband was saying that we're not going to get, from what he's reading, that we're not going to reach herd immunity though.
We're not going to have full herd, not unless we got a lot more vaccine penetration.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have severe COVID. We're probably not going to have a meaningful variant. Now, even if she had gotten COVID before she was vaccinated, or let's say she gets a mild case now, there is still potential of long hauler stuff in her age group. That's the one thing you got to watch out for. And that was nasty.
So I can have that too, Doctor.
You could have that too. Yeah, you're not going to die of it, but you could get the long hauler stuff, which is pretty miserable. It's pretty awful stuff. And I had that for a while. I responded to fluvoxamine. That got me out of it.
Gosh, my poor Dr. Drew. Thank goodness you're okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Susan's the one with the amazing immune system. Though.
Right. And yeah, good genetics.
I have to apologize to everybody on Clubhouse that the Mary Carey's sound is not coming through as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's why it's kind of light. And I'm getting it right on the restream, but it's not coming through as well.
Okay. Aaron, what's going on?
Oh my God, Dr. Drew,
Yeah,
what a treat we're talking right now. I got to tell you a quick story, okay?
All right.
When I was 12, all right, I used to call Loveline, and you were doing an episode with Jeff Probst. You know Jeff Probst?
I remember Jeff. Yeah.
Okay, you were doing an episode with Jeff, and I called in, and my voice had to be, as high as anybody's. And I was like, "Hey, Dr. Drew," and you were like, "Hey," and I'm like, "I'm 18." And the question I wanted to know that I couldn't figure out when I was 12 is how long you were supposed to stick the penis in for until it was sex. And you said to me, I asked you that, and you said to me, "Hey, are you really 18? And you said, "It's okay if you're not." And I just remember that. It was the most epic thing ever. I was so excited to tell my friends. Anyways, you're an epic dude. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thanks, Aaron. It's good to talk to you again after all these years.
Yeah, same.
All
Dr.
right.
Drew, I called into Loveline. I called into Loveline when I was like 21. Before I was like driving from Florida to LA, and I was listening to Loveline, and I called in and said I was going to LA to do porn, and you told me I was molested as a child, but I wasn't, as far as I know. I know, Doc, I'm not, all I'm just saying, I just think it's funny because I was like one of those people. I mean, because I used to, I was very obsessed with watching Loveline on MTV because that was my generation, like people my age were all really, that's what we did. We watched Loveline. We watched MTV.
That show hit a certain thing. It was like sort of a moment there. It was really interesting. Somebody on Restream is asking me how my black eye has been. So so I took the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and
why did you do that, Doctor?
Because we didn't really know some of the data at the time, and I wanted to be one and done. I knew I'd have a big reaction, which I did, and then I woke up with a black eye, which is one of the signs of the transverse sinus thrombosis, which was a little disconcerting. And I as I studied what that, I heard some more data today that convinced me I've been right, that it causes a consumptive coagulopathy. Platelets stick together, and they probably do it on a they coagulate, exactly. They probably do it though on a subclinical level, and just about everybody that takes that vaccine, I have a feeling, and that's probably what happened to me. So it's a very, very, very strange thing. So the mRNA vaccine is clearly clearer, more effective. Better, Dr. Drew. Well, I didn't need the vaccine.
Did you get the Johnson & Johnson like right away before there was any?
No. I got it right when the bad stuff was starting to come out, and I was starting to hear it, and I thought, I just want to get this thing over with, and I didn't need the vaccine. That's the problem. I was following my antibody levels. My antibody levels were off the chart because of having had COVID. And I thought, but we're going to Greece in a few months, and I had to have it to travel, which I thought, all right, then I was thinking, just do one vaccine. I'll probably have a reaction.
Which one does Susan have?
She got Pfizer, I believe.
That's what I have.
Yeah. I think that's the best vaccine. Hey, listen, I've got to make a comment to the Clubhouse group. We're going to have to wrap everything up here. We appreciate you guys sitting with me. No, not you just yet. I'm going to wrap the Clubhouse first.
Because I love you, Dr. Drew. I want to talk to you for 5 hours.
It's always good to talk to Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen is going to run for governor in California, for real. And are you going to have you're going to go to the, what do they call it? The donor class? You're going to start raising money and all that stuff?
No, I just filed my paperwork to accept donations. But you know what? I'm going to be campaigning because the Deja Vu Hustler Clubs have sponsored me. Because I featured strip clubs for a long time, Dr. Drew. I know you're not going to approve, but you got to take the support where you can get it.
All right, fair enough.
And they've got Deja Vu and Hustler is like the biggest chain of clubs in California. So I'm going to be going around to all of their clubs and having press conferences. Also, the old owner of my porn company when I was younger, who helped me run for governor, now he owns a restaurant, Chop in the Shop or something. It's like all over Los Angeles. And we're going to do something at one of his restaurants. Right.
So those of you in the Clubhouse, thank you for listening. We're going to kind of wrap this room up.
Okay, bye guys. As long as I get my stuff.
Yeah, and then you and I will talk for a few more minutes before we wrap things up here.
No, don't wrap it up, Dr. Drew.
Hold on. Flipping Birdies. I guess I don't get an answer to help the homeless because Susan doesn't clean her own bathrooms. Shame on you both. What is he talking about? Do you know what he's talking about?
What?
Flipping Birdies put a super chat in and said, I guess I don't get an answer to help the homeless because Susan doesn't clean her own bathrooms. Shame on you both.
I have cleaned
No, I think you need to interpret what he's saying. I don't have any idea what he's talking about.
We have 8 bathrooms here.
Let me tell you, cleaning bathrooms, I struggle with cleaning bathroom mirrors. I can never get them
I clean bathrooms. I've done them all my whole life. I'm sorry, I don't have a personal assistant. I have a woman who's been working for me for 30 years, and she loves to clean houses. I'm sorry. She's part of the family.
Yeah.
I do have it. I am privileged.
So,
someone
has an important question. Are the strip clubs open?
Not yet. They will be as of June 15th, my birthday. So that's kind of coincidental. The strip club's open on my birthday. So I'm going to be starting. My first thing I'm going to be doing is actually going to be in a city called Marysville. My agent had called while we were on here. There's a city called Marysville, which is by Sacramento. We're going to be having an outdoor, like a band and a big, press conference.
When you should go up into Sacramento and look at their homeless problem. It's really astonishing.
I didn't know it was bad.
Terrible. Yeah,
it's bad everywhere.
It's all meth on the streets in Sacramento.
Bad. It's horrible.
But that's the thing. I mean, how do we? Because I know how hard it is to get sober with the best treatment.
Yep.
And pretty much, I feel for me, I was given between you and then getting to be a scholarship person at Promises and then PT, I had all the best resources.
You had good treatment. Yep.
And it was still a struggle. How do we get, if it is drugs, that is with a lot of homeless, which I think it's drugs, alcohol, and mental health.
Yeah.
How do we help them with the sobriety?
We have to get a continuum of care. It has to be across a long period of time. And we got to meet people where they are, get them as stable as possible, and keep bringing them back into treatment until they start to get it.
I think if they're homeless on the streets and they would like a roof over their head, I think like a year-long stay in a rehab.
That's right. That's exactly
because
right.
If you do a couple months, it's not going to be long enough, because obviously if your addiction has gotten to the point of homelessness, then you are basically it's like death is your is your last option.
That's exact, Mary Ellen. People don't seem to understand that. You could help people understand that if you're an addict on the streets, that's bad addict. That's bad addiction. That's
the worst. And that was what got me. That was my rock bottom, was thinking to myself, when I was drinking heavily, I was canceling photo shoots. I was just like, I was like, oh my God, if I do not get sober, I'm not gonna be able to earn money, and I will be homeless and I'll be on the streets. I have to fix this. That was when I finally got it. And no, it's exactly right. When they're on the streets, they don't want to be there. It's just their addiction. And people.
Yeah. So you could speak this, and it could be, even if you don't win governor, this could be a really important thing. So please talk a lot about that. People want to know where they can go to see your schedule and how to meet up with you and stuff.
Oh, okay. Mary Carey. And then, so I saw Susan for the word for it. It's actually Mary Carey #4. Governor.
Oh, Mary Carey.
Back, you know why? The old porn company.
That. Hey, I just did it off the top of my head. That's my bad.
No, but the porn company that I ran, they owned Mary Carey, like the word for governor, and then I was trying to get it.
No F. No F.
No F though, but it's okay. They'll pick people.
There it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm gonna, right now, buy some merchandise. That's buy some stuff. It's so funny. My husband spends so much time. He has so much fun with all of this stuff. Because I am not good at being like patient with. I'm just not patient, really. Obviously, he is. I think as an ER doctor, you kind of have to be tolerant and patient. But he took so much time designing. Like, next thing I know, he's like, "Come look at this shirt I made." I'm like, "I don't know, just slap the logo on it." And he is sitting there, he designs it, and like,
he strikes me as that kind of guy. But talk to him also as you refine your messaging about the homeless. He knows, he knows what this is.
He went, obviously, because you guys both did residency at county, and in the ER at county, that's what he saw that a lot,
all the time.
So somebody said strip clubs are dirty, dirty places. I want to say.
I could agree. I honestly am not looking. I shouldn't say that, but I'm not looking. It was actually, I'm not looking forward to being there.
Haven't they been cleaning them up since COVID though? Won't they be cleaning?
No. You know what? Strip clubs, I will say this though. Some of them are clean with, they clean the pole. Like, before I would go on stage, I would always clean the pole for me.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know. It's funny because I've been to so many different strip clubs. Because when I was younger, it never occurred to me. Like, when I first got into a strip club.
To her sound?
I don't know.
My sound has gone
It suddenly got very loud.
Loud. Oh, well, that's probably scary for you.
We also have, if you're going to run for any kind of office and do interviews, we need to do something about your mic and headset situation.
Blue mic for you.
Yeah.
Blue mic.
Oh, okay. I should get a better. Yeah, this is just my husband's Zoom meeting thing. I guess I should get something fancier.
Yeah,
Susan, will you text me what kind of stuff to get?
It's a little echoey.
Yes, when you text us about 90 Days Fiance on Sunday night after you watched it.
About strip clubs, though.
Right.
Okay, so.
Oh my God,
you know what? I think they're all different. Every strip club's different. Some are really clean, some are dirty. Some of them. It was funny. I went to one club, and in the girls' room, there was they had no doors, and I had the bathrooms. So I said to the manager, "Why is there no doors on the bathrooms?" And he said, "This way we can stop the girls from doing cocaine because they don't have a private room to be."
Right.
Wow.
But
it's like a little bit like
guy, have you ever heard the term "can't get a word in edgewise"? This is no. It's the two of you. It's the two of you.
That's new for you.
Mary Ellen, I get your rhythm, but the two of you together, it's woo. I can't get a word.
Wait, Joe, go back here. Joe says that's his life.
Welcome to my life.
He hates it. He does a new thing now. When I interrupt him, he goes like this, and he puts up his hand and holds up a number 5, and he says watch, and then he won't talk to me for 5 minutes.
Oh, good. It's a behavioral management. So here's the deal. We got it. Susan and I actually have a restaurant reservation for dinner 10 minutes ago.
That's
No,
okay.
Dr.
Jordan,
Drew.
come? Jordan wants to join us now.
All
Can we
right, so
switch it up.
that's fine. But we got to get out and get going because we're not going to be able to have dinner otherwise.
No.
Mary Ellen, let us.
You.
We'll be back in your life because
We
you're
can't
coming
go to
back to
dinner.
California.
I have to do my makeup too.
Are you guys in
It's pretty
Tampa?
scary.
No, we are in Parkland, like Boca Raton, next to
Boca Raton. So if I'm sure there's a high probability we'll be down in that area. So we'll get together with you guys when we do.
No, you guys, so I was trying to convince Dr. Sophie to move here because I was just trying to say like, oh yeah, your house, same thing. In my neighborhood, you can, for a $2 million home, you could have the biggest home in this gated community, very nice. And think about the profit. You could sell your home.
Oh, you want us to move down there? You're trying to sell us right now. Okay, you're going to be.
You would have money for governor, even if I win governor.
If they don't elect you governor, that's my cue to flee. Okay.
One day we'll
Think
get
about
down
Dr.
there when
You
we're
make so much
80.
money here. You can help all the parents from the Parkland shooting. You will be able to make so much money here.
Who knew that Florida was going to be the cool place to live after all?
I hated it here at first, but during COVID, I was very happy because
I bet.
It's so
much.
funny.
I know my husband's like, let me go to dinner. He's signaling for me to let you guys go.
Yes,
No.
we got to wrap it up. We will
No.
text Susan on Sunday night after you watch
I
Night of
will.
Fiance, and then she'll give you the info on the microphones
I'm working
too.
Oh,
on
and
Angela
tell
Dean.
Janice Dickinson that I'm on book 3, halfway through it,
Okay.
and I want another book.
Susan and Janice do talk quite a bit, so she can get you guys together.
Okay, I'll try to get them.
All right, everybody. Mary, great
love
to talk to you. We love you too. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Anyone who's watched me over the years knows that I'm obsessed with Hydrolite. In my opinion, the best oral rehydration product on the market. I literally use it every day. My family uses it. When I had COVID, I'm telling you, Hydrolite contributed to my recovery, kept me hydrated. Now, with things finally reopening back around the country, the potential exposure to the common cold is always around. And like always, Hydrolite has got your back. Hydrolite Plus Immunity, my new favorite, starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of great ingredients. Plus, each single serving easy pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 300 milligrams of elderberry extract. Hydrolite Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy to pour sticks that rapidly dissolve in water, make a great tasting drink, has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. Uses all natural flavors, gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and even vegan. Hydrolite Plus Immunity is also now available in ready-to-drink bottles at the Walmart next to the pharmacy, or as always, you can find it by visiting hydrolite.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that is HYDRALYTE.com/DRDREW. Be sure to use the code Dr. Drew 25 for a special discount.